Hello everyone, welcome back to Chill Deal Trades, the most accurate stock market channel on YouTube. New slogan for the second video. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Today we're going to cover Alibaba. It's been a few weeks. We said buy at the 160 level. It dipped a little bit. We said if it dips more, buy a little bit more. So that's what we did. Hopefully did the same thing. Now we've seen a little bit of rally, and so now it's time to figure out where's the stock headed next. A little bit of update on the news side, but mostly we're going to focus on the technicals for this video. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to say, and I've talked about this in past videos, you should go watch them. They're kind of more covering the Chinese economy, because the thing with the US is we don't have a really good understanding of the Chinese economy. It's a different government structure. Their economy is much different than the US, and so please go watch those videos. Those are really important to watch and understand if you're going to invest in Chinese companies. But I've mentioned this in past videos, and it's really China's slowing growth and massive debt. And so kind of like the US, China has also done their own type of QE to really stabilize and help grow the economy. China's population has been decreasing or pretty significantly over the last bit of years. And in turn, what happens oftentimes is you hit a peak growth and you start to decline. As your economy grows larger and larger, as China is basically the second biggest economy in the world, your growth has to slow. And so what's happening is China, very similar to US, is coming to a crossroads, and it's the slowing growth and massive debt. So that's important when we think of Alibaba, because if we're seeing slower growth, Alibaba being basically the biggest company in China, they're going to experience growth. And with the regulation we're seeing happen with Alibaba, basically giving a little bit more freedom or making it more fair for other e-commerce companies to succeed, that's also going to impact the revenue that Alibaba is going to see or experience over the next few years, especially if we see a downturn in the economy due to some external factors. But these are things we need to pay attention to, because everyone online is saying, oh, it's a forward earning this, forward earning that. But we're not really factoring in a slowdown in revenue, which I think is going to happen. Doesn't mean I don't think Alibaba is a great buy at this price, but these are things we really need to keep on top of mind. It's not the technical side of things, but more of the quantitative things that are happening compared to the qualitative or quantitative and quantitative. But that's something that we just want to pay attention to. The next thing is kind of why has Alibaba bounced recently? I found this really great article. And there's really three things. So earnings, November 4th. Everybody keep that on your radar. November 4th is the earnings that's coming up in just about 2 to 3 weeks. The second thing is deep value. We've talked about this so much, but trading at a 16 times earning right now, 40% year over year. But in our past videos, we do know that 40% is slowing down significantly, and we're probably going to be more to around a 20% growth moving forward, if not a little bit less. So this isn't truly fair here when you really dig into the numbers, but still very cheap on a PE ratio perspective. And the last thing is easing concerns. We haven't really seen a whole lot of news from the CCP lately. We just got some more that could be hurting Alibaba, and that's about making it a little bit more fair for other e-commerce companies to succeed with advertising and such, kind of limiting the monopolization of certain markets. But we haven't seen as much news, and that's relieving a lot of people saying, oh, maybe Alibaba stock's at a bottom. And we'll get into more of that if it is in a second. And the last couple things I want to cover, one is Charlie Munger. He more than doubled down. He bought a buttload more of shares of Alibaba, and he's pretty convinced that this company is going to succeed in the long term. So he's staking Chinese e-commerce growth by 83%. So they added 300 more shares in Q3. And I think Charlie Munger really buying into this, in my opinion, is a pro, someone who's been in the game for so long. He doesn't really have much exposure to China, which is really interesting. But him being such an advocate for it is very interesting. And that's, for me, a little bit of another reason to buy. He is getting a little bit older, and some people question his decisions nowadays, but him buying in, and his firm, it's just not him, it's his firm. So other people, younger people, or people who have been in the game equally as long, are also advising to buying more. So those are some pros. And then lastly, you know, as me, I always like to look at institutional buying. So we always talk about Q2 not being so great for buying and selling of institutions. But really what we're seeing right now, it's really interesting. We're seeing a lot of small buying and selling. So when we really look at these market values, you know, of shares, we really see a lot of small values. And so what that means to me, when we see 2 million here, 2 million here, it's like a lot of trading, but very small amounts. People are starting to wonder if this is the bottom. Now that we, you know, came down to about $139 a share, we've popped up. I think people are curious. Has the bottom been put in Chinese stocks? And we're seeing this little bit of buying and selling here. People who aren't convinced they're selling, but people who are buying are basically just buying those people's shares who sold. And so we're kind of seeing this back and forth happen basically over the last month. You can see all these numbers, very small numbers. There's a few big ones every once in a while. Some people who are convinced this is the bottom are a good opportunity, but for the most part, it's these really small buys and sells. As we can see, we have about double the buying and selling so far. So does that mean we could be seeing a bigger buy? Who knows, but these are things we like to pay attention to. So now we're going to get into the technicals to just kind of take a look at maybe figuring out where the stock could be headed. So I mentioned this in my last video. I think we were a couple weeks ago. It might be almost a month now. I think it was around here when we made the, oh no, it was around here when we made the video. I said, might be a good opportunity to buy. I purchased some. And then on this dip, as I said, if it dips, it's more buying opportunity. So hopefully you bought here. And we saw this big move higher. So what does this move mean? So the first thing I want to call out on the daily is RSI is over 50. You know how I feel about the RSI, and I say it over and over again. Hopefully you guys get to this point when we're under 50 and we can't break above bearish cycle. When we break above and confirm the break higher, so we need to go back and test this 50. Once we test that 50, that can validate that we're back in a bull phase for the stock. But we haven't seen that yet. It hasn't confirmed. It's starting to slope down, which in my opinion, we're starting to see a little bit of weakness here. Unless some news comes out, I think we could potentially come back and test this, and then we'll get a better idea. Are we going back below 50 and maybe that was just a short squeeze? Or are we going to bounce off this? And I'll talk about what other we want to look at, but that's something we want to take an eye on. What I really want to line that up is with the moving averages. And so right now we're testing the 50-day. So as you can see, I don't like this other line, it's a bad color. Let's switch it to green. Nope, that's harder to see. There we go. Do it to red. So as we see, we're currently at the 50 EMA. We're testing it. We've been testing it for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row. And so really, I think we're at a decision point right here. We have the moving average right below it. We really need to hold this 50-day. If we hold this 50-day, kind of go like this, RSI, you know, sloping down. If we go to the hourly, RSI is sloping down here as well. If we can hold this zone, then that's a good sign that we could see another little move higher here off this bounce. And that's going to be bullish for the stock. And that could potentially signal this maybe was a loading zone and a potential bottom for now. But that's something. If we do break below the 50, then we're going to want to take a peek at the 20-day. And this is what I mentioned. I think I posted on TikTok, so please follow me on TikTok. I do update videos on stocks there. But if we don't hold the 50, we really want to see it hold the 20-day. And so the 20-day is really the line in the sand for me. If a stock is above the 20-day, we're bullish. If it's below the 20-day, we're bearish. It's kind of similar to the 50 RSI. Above and below is kind of my bullish signals. And so what I would like to see, honestly, is for this stock to come down. And the main reason, I said this in, I think in the last video, oh no, I said this on a Friday stream. That's when we talked about it. So please come to the Friday streams. We talk about all these stocks. This angle is too high. This stock cannot sustain a 50, 60 degree angle up move. We really want this to come back, touch around these 20 EMAs and moving averages, for RSI to come around this 40 to 50 range and bounce back up. That's really what we want to see. If we see that happen and it bounce back up and then break above this, we have a very strong new cycle potentially. That'd be very bullish for the stock, and this could signal a bottom. I'm not buying more until I see that happen. If I see that 20 hold and it bounce up higher, then that, for me personally, is a buying opportunity. And when we zoom out, look at the 20. Let me zoom out even more. So when we're in a bullish phase, look at the stock. It breaks above, come back down, test, break above, come back down, test, break above. Sometimes it breaks under, but it ends up heading back above it. And so we see that pattern with the 20-day over and over and over again. And on the way down, we see the exact opposite. Below, test it, below, test it. Went above for a little bit, below, test. See that pattern. And so if we can finally see a reversal here for it to hold, and then we start seeing a higher high and higher low pattern, that could be a bullish indicator. If we do hold that, I'm going to be looking to break above the 180 zone. When we zoom out, we have a lot of this little range right here is very important to break out above. Right now, we're kind of just hanging out there. And honestly, if we hang out in that zone, that would also be very bullish for me. That could be when we look at a macro pattern, that could be a more macro bottoming pattern. Going sideways is always better than going down. And if we go sideways for long enough, it could signal a bottoming pattern or a bottoming range for the stock. And so really, if we do see it bounce off the 20-day and move higher, I want to see it break above 180. And we zoom in here, we couldn't break up. So before we hit the 180, we broke below, and then we came back up and tested, and we couldn't break above. So really, I want to see it test the 20-day, break back above, maybe test the 180, come back to 170-ish, and then break above 180. That would be very bullish for me. And honestly, if we come back here and break above, the 20-day will probably be around 170, 165, and then that could show a reversal. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. If we do break below the 20-day, then we really need to stay above 152. If we don't stay above 152, we're probably going back to the 130s, 140s. And then when we look at big picture, there's really big support at 130. 130 to 120. This kind of range right here. As you can see, there's some big candles in that range. And that, honestly, for me, would be another opportunity to purchase some more shares if we get into that other buying zone. But these are kind of prices we want to take a peek at, to look at, and really pay attention to. I hope you guys keep getting this in your mind. We'll use, I would say, the qualitative data, what's going on in China, news about Alibaba, their earnings, to help guide us, and maybe are we seeing still bearish or bullish sentiment. And then we use the technicals to see, technically looking, how are we looking at the chart and seeing if we're seeing bullish or bearish patterns. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you appreciate that video. We'll continue to do more update videos on Alibaba because it's a company we believe in and the channel. And please come to the Friday live stream. We have maybe like 4 or 5 regulars after the first couple weeks. So come join the crew. And we talk about all kinds of stocks, which is really fun to do together. So appreciate it, guys. And I'll see you again Wednesday.